Greetings, welcome to the Man Cave. Today we're going to cook some pork spare ribs using the 3-2-1 method, so let's get started. Okay folks, I've got 3 racks of pork spare ribs here that I've trimmed down silver skin from the back of these ribs. So now I'm gonna shake rub all over the back side of these ribs. Lots of people like to rub their ribs down with mustard or oil first to help hold the rub on. You can definitely do that, and I do it sometimes, but today I'm just going to rub these plain, and I'm going to let them sit for a while before I flip them over to give that rub a chance to adhere itself. Okay, we're going to flip these rib racks over and coat the back side with some rub. Okay, and we'll let that sit while we get the grill warmed up. And this is a homemade pork rub. I will also give you the recipe for this rub in the description for the video, so check that out. And in the meantime, I'm going to get the Big Joe fired up so we can start cooking. We're going to be using the 3-2-1 method like I described today. And what that means is we're going to cook these ribs over smoke for 3 hours. We're going to wrap them in foil for 2 hours, and then we're going to unwrap them for 1 hour and baste them with sauce during that last hour. So let me get the grill fired up and we'll be back. Okay, I've got the Big Joe up to temp here. We're going to put these ribs on a rib rack. Kind of stand those guys up a little bit, and we are going to cook at 225 degrees. That's the temperature it takes to make this method work. So we're going to get these guys on for 3 hours at 225. Actually, I'm going to spread that one out just a little. 225 degrees, and we'll be back in 3 hours to foil these. Okay, we're going to get started on this backyard barbecue sauce. It's a Kamado Joe courtesy of recipe. And I've got 2 tablespoons of butter here in a saucepan. We're going to get that melted. And while that's melted over medium heat, I'm going to toss in 1 chopped onion. And we're going to saute that onion over medium heat just until it's all translucent. And then we'll be right back. Okay, just as these onions start to get translucent, I'm going to add 4 cloves of finely chopped garlic. And stir that in for just a minute or so, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients, starting with 2 cups of ketchup, 4 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 bottle of your favorite beer. I'm using a Magic Hat Oktoberfest for this one, 1.5 cups of honey, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 2 teaspoons of ground cayenne pepper, and the juice of 2 lemons. And we're going to stir this and get it completely mixed and let it come to almost a boil. And as soon as we see that we're getting to a boil, we're going to turn the heat to low. Oops, I left out one ingredient. We also add 8 ounces of tomato juice. So we'll get that going in there and then bring it to a boil. Okay, just as this sauce starts to bubble like it's going to boil, you want to turn the heat down to low, because the sugar content in this sauce, when it starts to boil, it will bubble over real fast and you'll have a mess unless you're in a really large pot. So what we're going to do now is turn the heat to low and let this simmer for 30 to 45 minutes until it thickens up to a consistency that we're happy with. So we'll let this sit and it'll be ready by the time we're going to go out and sauce the ribs. So I'll meet you back at the grill in just a little bit because it's getting close to time to foil the ribs. Okay folks, we're 3 hours into this cook. I've pulled these ribs off and we're going to foil each rack, and I'm going to put a couple tablespoons of apple juice in the foil, and we're just going to wrap these guys up like this and get them fairly tight, meat side down in the foil, and just fold it over. I'm going to wrap each of these 3 racks of ribs just like this, and then we'll come back in a minute, put these guys back on the grill. Okay, I've taken the rib rack off because these ribs shrink up enough during the first part of the cook that we don't need it for the rest. So I'm just going to set each of these foil racks right back on there. They can even overlap a little, that's fine. I'll move my temperature probe. And now we go for 2 hours foiled, and we'll be back to have a look. Okay, our 2 hours is up. So I've unfoiled these ribs. We're going to baste them with the sauce, give them a good coat all over. This sauce recipe is a fairly thin sauce, so we're just going to baste it, and we'll probably come back in about a half an hour and hit them again with some of this sauce. We're going to let the sauce kind of caramelize on the outside of the ribs, and these guys are almost ready. So we're going to go for about an hour here unfoiled, and we'll be back shortly to have a look at them when they're finished. Okay folks, it's been 6 hours and our ribs are ready. Those things look really good, so I'm going to take them off the grill, take them inside and cut them down, and we'll have one final look at them before we eat dinner. Okay folks, here's the final product. It's looking real good. They're real tender. They're not falling off the bone. So I'm going to have a little taste of this one. That's pretty darn good. Well, looks like the 3-2-1 method works pretty well, so I'm out of here. Dinner time, feeding the family.